Hello and welcome! Today we'll be reviewing the 2018 Lamborghini Urus. The Urus is one of the top players in what is probably a new segment, the super SUVs. The design of this car is expressive, very aggressive and over the top at some points. Actually, that's exactly what you would expect from a Lamborghini. But an SUV is not a traditional supercar. So let's see if Lamborghini was able to put the supercar DNA into the SUV. So let's have a look around the car to see if it meets the expectations. Starting at the front, I'm intentionally showing just the top half because I think it looks amazing. It has a muscular hood, a sharp beak and proper supercar looks. The problem with these SUVs is that you've got a lot of height to cover. And covering up that height is a challenge. And you see they struggled with it. It's full of shapes just to fill up the space. And they use the shapes in all sorts of directions, which makes it look very cluttered, but also very, very tall. Later versions of this car have many of these ornaments blacked out, so you don't see them as much, but they're still there. Then around the corner there's more sharp lines. And here I think it looks really dynamic, especially behind the front wheel, where the emblem kicks off a very sharp line that goes all the way over the shoulder. And what I like most about this view is that tight waistline, which comes right in before that rear wheel. But the worst thing about this part of the design is those door handles. Lamborghini has put so much effort into this design and then they just pull the door handles from an Audi. The worst part about them is not that they're Audi, it's how they catch the light, especially the one on the rear fender. Whenever I see this car, I just see door handles driving around. Surely at this price range they could have put in a specific design for them. I'll shut up about these door handles now. Then looking at the side again, you see that the top half is really clean and a very neat design, and the bottom half generally is pretty cluttered. You can see it at the front with all these shapes going on, you can see it in the middle around the floor section, and you can see it again at the rear end where they've put a lot of shapes in a condensed space, even though there's lots of space to work with. It's the first car in recent history where I actually like these big hips. It works really well with that tight waistline and that big butt of this car. The biggest shortcoming for me on this side view is what you can't see. Supercars, and a Lamborghini in particular, have to have AirPods. This being a front-engined car, it has to be behind the front wheel. And it was there in the concept car, but they dropped it. Such a pity. And this is my favorite view of the car. Look at how compact it looks, how dynamic, how aggressive. The stance is perfect. Looks really muscular, really strong. I love it. Then last but not least, the rear end. And overall I think it works really well. They've managed to get a design in that doesn't look like a turd like most of the SUVs in this segment. Think for instance about the DBX from Aston Martin. As we've seen in the previous picture, the rear end and especially the bottom half of it again is pretty flat. And I begin to suspect that the word practicality is no longer a forbidden word in the Lamborghini headquarters. I really miss that nutcase mentality Lamborghinis have had in the past, where they don't care about practicality and would have had a rear end that comes up more from the bottom, rather than being flat like this. Lastly, that diffuser, come on. That's the worst piece of trim on the entire car. It's got a color that you don't see anywhere else. And it looks very, very cheap. So, final thoughts for this car. Overall, I think it's a really great design. At least the top half of it. The bottom half? Not so. It seems like Lamborghini has been in two minds between something extravagant and something practical. They've had to go to great lengths to fill up all that space and come up with a somewhat practical car. What I find unforgivable for this price range is the cheap choices they've made. And with that, I obviously mean those door handles and that rear end diffuser. Overall, I give this car a 7.2 out of 10. In the coming weeks, I'll be sharing some videos where I make a render of this car and try to fix those shortcomings. We'll touch on that front with all the trim in it, we'll touch on the door handles, and obviously we'll give a shot at that rear end. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel to stay tuned.